Alright guys, I've got to be honest with you. What's about to unfold across the US this winter is shaping up to be one of the wildest cold season patterns we've seen in years. I've been watching the long-range models, comparing them to past analogs, and something about this setup is giving me strong flashbacks to the legendary winter of 2013-2014. You remember that one? The kind of winter where the cold just wouldn't quit. Where snow piled up week after week, and people were literally digging tunnels through drifts in their driveways. Well, I'm not saying it's going to be that extreme, but I'll tell you this. We're not far off, and it's all starting right now. The first true blast of Arctic air is already on its way south, and by early November, that chill is going to be gripping the Midwest, the Great Lakes, and parts of the northern plains. We're talking wind chills dropping into the teens, highs barely scraping the 30s, and that unmistakable first round of lake effect snow bands firing off the Great Lakes. Chicago, Cleveland, Buffalo. Get ready. I'm expecting the first measurable snow for many of you within the next week or so. Now, let's talk big picture. This winter pattern looks locked and loaded to deliver slightly above normal snowfall for much of the country. And for snow lovers, that's music to your ears. But for travelers, commuters, and anyone who just wants a mild winter, buckle up. The atmosphere isn't interested in being kind this year. Let's start in the Midwest and Great Lakes, because that's where winter will hit first and hardest. From Minnesota to Michigan, from Wisconsin down through northern Illinois and Indiana, I'm seeing a setup that favors consistent cold and plenty of moisture off the lakes. The Arctic jet stream looks to dip deep into the central US, creating a steady train of cold air outbreaks. Chicago could be staring down 50 to 60 inches of snow this season. That's well above the average of around 36. Detroit, I wouldn't be surprised to see totals near 70 inches. And Buffalo? You might top 100 inches again if the lake effect machine keeps running like this. By the way, if you'd like specific weather forecasts for your region or city, please leave them in the comments. I'll answer them individually as time allows. Also, if you like the video and subscribe to my channel, you'd be very grateful. Now let's move on. By mid-November, that cold will have expanded east. The Northeast is in for an early start too. We're talking snowflakes flying in Boston, New York City, and Philadelphia before Thanksgiving. Something we haven't seen in quite a while. It won't be anything historic that early, but it'll set the tone for what's to come. Boston could easily hit 60 inches by the end of the season. New York somewhere around 35 to 40. And upstate New York, Albany, Syracuse, and Rochester, you could easily double that. And this cold? I mean the kind that sinks into your bones. It's going to stick around. Once we flip that switch in early November, it's not turning back. Each month from November through February looks colder than average, with repeated Arctic intrusions dropping south every 7 to 10 days. Now, if we slide down into the Ohio Valley and Appalachians, the story gets even more interesting. With a strong jet stream and an active storm track, places like Cincinnati, Columbus, Pittsburgh, and Charleston, West Virginia could see a lot more snow than usual. I'm talking 30 to 45 inches across much of that region, maybe even 50 in the higher elevations. It's going to be one of those winters where you get these classic rain-to-snow systems that dump heavy, wet snow overnight, the kind that knocks down tree limbs and makes morning commutes an absolute nightmare. Moving west, the northern plains and upper Midwest. This is where we'll really see that polar vortex flavor that 2013 brought us. North Dakota, South Dakota, and northern Minnesota could see weeks where temperatures struggle to get above zero. Fargo might spend 20 to 25 days below zero this winter. And with the active storm track running just to your south, snow totals will be impressive too. I'd say 50 to 70 inches for Minneapolis-St. Paul isn't out of the question. Now, when we shift our focus to the Rockies, this is where things get really good for the ski resorts. Colorado, Wyoming, Utah. The ingredients are there for a fantastic snow season. Denver should see about 65 inches, maybe even more if those upslope events kick in. Aspen, Vail, and Steamboat could all end up with 300 to 350 inches by March. In Utah, the Cottonwood Canyons are likely to push 400 inches again. Truly a snow lover's paradise. Down in the Southwest, it's a bit of a mixed bag. Arizona and New Mexico will see colder than average temperatures, especially during late December into January, but snow will be more elevation dependent. Flagstaff could still get a solid 80 to 100 inches, while Albuquerque might just pick up a couple of slushy events. The Pacific Northwest, though, oh man, you're in for a real treat. After several mild winters, this one looks to bring back the heavy mountain snow that everyone's been missing. Seattle could see 5 to 10 inches in the city itself, which is a lot by your standards, and the Cascades. We're talking 400 to 500 inches of snow, maybe more in the higher passes. Portland might even get a couple of icy episodes that shut things down for a day or two. Let's swing south to the southeast now. Even though it won't be a brutally snowy winter down there, the cold will make its presence known. Atlanta, Birmingham, Charlotte, and even parts of northern Florida could see multiple frost events and a few rare snow chances, especially in January. I wouldn't rule out one big southern snowstorm this winter, maybe late January, that could dump several inches across Georgia and the Carolinas. Similar to what we saw in 2014 out west in California, the Sierra Nevada is primed for another strong snow season. Mammoth Mountain could hit 350 to 400 inches, and Lake Tahoe might exceed 500 by the time March rolls around. That's huge, and it'll be a big help for the state's water supply. Even the coastal cities will feel the chill. San Francisco and Los Angeles could see their coldest mornings in years by December and January, with lows dropping into the 30s inland and low 40s by the water. Now let's go back east for a moment, because that's where this pattern really flexes its muscle. By December, the cold air will have completely entrenched itself from the plains to the Atlantic. We'll start to see those classic nor'easters forming off the coast, feeding off the clash between Arctic air inland and Atlantic moisture streaming north. These are the storms that make or break a winter. I'm calling for at least 3 major East Coast snow events between December and February. One before Christmas, one in mid-January, and one in late February. Each could bring 8 to 12 inches from DC to Boston, with localized totals over a foot where banding sets up. By the time we reach January, the nation will be deep in the heart of winter. This is when I expect the coldest air of the season to hit. If you remember the 2013-2014 winter, that's when the polar vortex broke loose and sent Arctic air all the way down to Texas. I think we could see a similar situation this time around. Maybe not quite as brutal, but close. Wind chills below zero in Chicago, single digits in Nashville, even freezing temperatures down in Dallas and Houston. The central U.S. could see several hard freezes that last for days at a time. February won't offer much of a break either. If anything, the pattern looks like it'll reload for one final punch. That's when we'll likely see another series of major storms running from the southern plains into the Ohio Valley and up the East Coast. It could end up being one of those months where winter feels endless. You know, when you're just begging for spring to show up, but the snow keeps coming. And honestly, with how this pattern's setting up, I wouldn't be surprised if we're still talking snow well into March. That's how persistent and stubborn this cold regime looks. So, to sum it all up, the cold starts early, within a week for the Midwest and Great Lakes. Snow begins piling up by early November and doesn't stop until March. Slightly above normal snowfall for most of the country, with the heaviest amounts in the Great Lakes, Rockies, and Northeast. A pattern reminiscent of 2013-2014. Not identical, but definitely in that same league. If you love snow, this is your kind of winter. But if you hate shoveling driveways, scraping windshields, or bundling up every morning, well, you might want to stock up on coffee and patience, because this one's going to test both. Alright, if you'd like specific weather forecasts for your region or city, leave your region or city in the comments. I'll answer them individually as I have time. Commenting is completely free. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.